I think we've made great strides.
Exactly. That's why the Trilateral Commission is afraid. Last week I had the head of the Kissinger Group on the show, and I was talking to him before he went on air, and he goes, "We know who you are, Alex. Yes, we're aware of your work. If they're aware of me, and you're much bigger than I am, I mean, when we've got the head of the Kissinger Group agreeing to come on my show to try to counter us, that means they really are upset. I mean, if they're talking about you as the number one topic and saying, yeah, they're waking up about the monetary system, that was the other point they made, that shows we're really hurting them."
And the thing that we have to look for is if they start cracking down even more so, if they start wanting to tax and control and regulate the internet and going after radio talk show hosts, I mean, that's when we'll be in big trouble, because fortunately, you know, we complain a lot about how bad things are going, but I still brag that we do live in a good country, and it's worth saving, and we've had great traditions, and I've been pretty fortunate to run on what I believe in and vote that way and still get reelected. So as bad as things are, we don't live in a totalitarian state, although that's what we fear, and that's why we have to be alert and vigilant, because if they move quickly to get rid of our ability to communicate, then we're in big trouble.
Well, that's what I wanted to say, is that it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Our lives are great, our families are great, it's still the best country in the world, but in the sectors and the corridors of power, it's never been more corrupt, more infested, with the White House writing memos about torturing children and saying it's okay. And that's my point, is they're definitely making a move and trying. I think they are getting pushed back at some levels. Is that an accurate statement from...
Oh, I think so. It's because the number of people who have become disenchanted are growing, because the standard of living is going down. That's back to the monetary policy. People are still making nominal dollars, but the dollars aren't going as far. The people on retirement or Social Security, they're getting benefits, but all of a sudden they're much poorer because they're losing 10% of their purchasing power every year. So every year they get poorer, and that's why people are very stirred up. You know, even though at every rally I talk about just getting the young people out of Social Security and doing our best to take care of those people who are dependent. But you never get boos from elderly people who are worried about getting their checks, because they know if our side straightens up the mess, they're more likely to get something from their Social Security. Where they know what's happening now is if we continue this, that everybody is going to suffer, the people who are receiving checks from the government as well as those who are expected to continue to work.
Now I want to shift gears into another topic. This just came out in the mainstream news last Thursday. I know you're quite a news hound yourself, but you may not have heard it. Did you hear about the Rumsfeld tape with all these fake military advisors on Pentagon payroll that they have on the news, bringing up, boy, we sure need another terror attack to get our agenda through. Without another attack, we're not going to be able to get our agenda through. A, are you aware of that? And B, what do you think of that statement?
Well, just vaguely. I don't know the details, so I really can't make a very good statement on that, but anything's possible with these guys.
Let me just play it. It's about a minute long. This is Rumsfeld, 2006, Washington Post, Associated Press, PrisonPlanet.com, and you can go listen to hours of it. This is with the military consultants, experts they have on all the major news channels. He's in a room full of them. Here it is.
This president's pretty much a victim of success. We haven't had an attack here in 5 years. The perception of the threat is so low in the society today that it's not surprising that the behavior pattern reflects a low threat assessment. And the same thing is in Europe. There's a low threat perception. The correction for that, I suppose, is an attack. And when that happens, then everyone gets energized for another period. And it's a shame we don't have the maturity to recognize the seriousness of the threats.
Okay, Congressman, were you able to hear that? They say to him, don't we need another attack? And then his answer is yes. I guess the cure for this is another attack.
Yeah, and I think that's the way they do think. I've never gotten to the point where they absolutely plan every event, but boy, when there is an opportunity, do they jump at it. They had planned for a long time on the Patriot Act, but they had to wait for the right time. They had planned for a long time to invade Iraq. as early as 2008, the plans were laid. 1998, the plans were laid. But they wait for opportunity. They help create them. They manipulate them. They do whatever is necessary.
We have a clip of Gary Hart. Sorry, Congressman, go ahead.
They do know public opinion is important. They got to get the consensus of people to rally behind them.
Have you seen the Gary Hart clip where he not only wrote a letter to Iran, we now interviewed him, and he said, yes, I'm worried the government will stage another Gulf of Tonkin or USS Maine event to attack Iran?
Of course, I've been worrying about that all along, and once again, I always take the position, I always hope that they don't do it on their own. I hate thinking they're capable of it, yet they are. But no matter what, whether it's an accident or they deliberately do it, or one individual does it, or they hire somebody to do it, an event has to happen to really get the people behind it and be complacent enough to send more kids off to get killed.
Final segment with the congressman. We'll have 5 minutes on the other side. I'll have two questions for him. What does he think of the field of candidates? I mean, dumb, dumber, and dumbest. That's my opinion. I mean, big government, either way, you roll the dice. It's a rigged game. They own all the horses. And we'll talk about his book, The Revolution, a Manifesto, #1 on the New York Times bestselling list. He's going to be at Book People, one of the book facilities here in Austin, Texas today. We'll tell you where that's going to be as well. Okay, final segment with Congressman Ron Paul. He's run an amazing campaign. The Trilateral Commission is very upset. We have that from a great source. And I've talked to top globalists myself who are very upset about what I'm doing. And I'm small fish compared to Congressman Ron Paul, who now really is our champion of the Constitution. And we've got to commend him. Just real fast, before we get into the Obama thing in your book, to be clear, because I've said I support taking over the delegates to control the party charters and the platform and to take over the party machinery, but I kept getting from your letters and your statements that if somebody is a delegate pledged for McCain, or if somebody is a delegate for that vote, you've got to go with that, because the media would crucify us, A, like we were trying to steal an election, and B, you had said that you wanted to honor the delegate process. People said, no, Ron Paul hadn't said that. And there's a large camp in the delegate process that do intend some type of takeover, which, of course, will be stopped from the top, and then I think will be a propaganda nightmare for us. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to happen, but that doesn't mean that people who are delegates and alternates shouldn't go, or at the grassroots they should continue to do what they're doing. We still are going to have our Texas convention. We're going to have a presence there, and they're going to be involved, and they're going to try to, influence the platform and do all the things that they should, because, there is a future, and if they don't have the numbers now, they're going to get them later, but they should be running for precinct leader or whatever they want to do to continue this activity. But to think that we're going to go over in some sneaky way take over the national convention or totally control the Texas convention, I mean, we have to be realistic, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't do what we're doing, and we could very well have a great deal of influence, but ultimately the real influence are our numbers and the strength of our message and winning the hearts and minds of
spreading.
People.
Every Ron Paul supporter, every lover of liberty has to wake up 2 or 3 people in the next month and have them wake up other folks. Barack Obama, McCain, Hillary, give me your take on that, Congressman.
Well, there's really no choice there at all. They all belong to the same group. They all belong to the, they're beholden to the military-industrial complex and the medical industry, the media industry. I mean, the whole work, the banking industry. So nothing is different. The rhetoric is different, and they peel different ways. They're all after power, but there's not going to be a whole lot of difference. Now, if I didn't know anybody's name, I just listened to what they said, I would say on foreign policy, Obama probably sounds more reasonable. But, I know who he is. I know what he believes in. And so I don't, believe that if we have an Obama presidency, all of a sudden we're going to have a more sensible foreign policy. The same forces will have their control. So I think that's not where the argument should be. The argument has to be, do we want to continue the politics of those 3 individuals, or do we want to change the country? Do we want to restore the Constitution? Do we want sound money? Do we want to challenge the whole system? And that, of course, is what the revolution is all about.
So you would say that Obama is a false or fake revolution. He's talking about change, but change with socialized health care and more government.
You know, he is, and it's interesting that he does appeal to some of the very same people we appeal to, because he wants to have change. But has he been very specific? Does he talk about non-intervention foreign policy, or sound money, or attacking the military-industrial complex, bringing the troops home, balancing the budget? No, none of that. But still, superficially, when people hear him, they'll say, oh, yeah, he's different.
Yeah.
He's going to have changes. And he sounds something like Ron Paul, and he has a chance. I'm going with Obama.
Congressman, the new book is The Revolution Manifesto, bestseller, available at Infowars.com right now. In closing, who do you think McCain's running mate will be, and who do you think the ticket's going to be on the Democratic side?
Well, my guess is no better than anybody else's, but maybe he'll end up picking Huckabee to try to, solidify the Christian right, those supporters of the war.
And then Obama, Hillary.
Right, you belong to war.
and then Obama, Hillary on the other side?
Obama, I still think that they will be inclined maybe to put Hillary on the ticket or Edwards. I don't know.
Congressman, thank you so much.